Hey y'all, we're here at Viet Springs Trailhead up here in northern Arizona, right by Flagstaff on Humphreys Peak. And we're gonna go see what we can find today. It is beautiful out here. Lighting's not great, but if I was out here an hour ago, it'd probably be a little better.
First image I got was of a yellow-rumped warbler. It was very dark when I took this image, so the shadows were real heavy and the bird wasn't in good light, but it was still a good image of the bird, especially from the distance I took it at. So here's the edit. I cropped in a little bit and brightened it up. And here's another image I took of it. This is also an edit, same settings. So yeah, that's the yellow-rumped warbler. The next image I got is of what I think is a house wren. There were a couple of these guys jumping around on the branches next to me, about maybe 20 feet, 30 feet away. And so I lowered my shutter speed a little bit, hopefully to get some more light in the camera. And I think the edit turned out pretty good, so here it is. So as I headed a little bit deeper into the forest, it just kept getting darker and darker, so I had to raise the ISO and lower the shutter speed, all hand-holding this huge 100-400 EF Canon lens. It was very hard to get images that were sharp, but I think this one of the chipmunk turned out pretty well. So here's the edit.
Yeah, so if you listen, it sounds like a meadowlark or something, but yeah, just take a listen. Sounds pretty cool. I didn't know they would be in forest. Usually they're in a meadow. So yeah, maybe we'll see one.
So as I was walking through the woods, there was kind of this little clearing, and the light was just leaking through the tree line, and it looked real pretty. So I snapped a picture of it, and here it is. Up next, I came across a dark-eyed junco, and these are pretty common birds, so I see a lot of these, but I snapped its picture anyway. And I like the way it turned out. There's the edit, just a little shadow removal and noise reduction. So yeah, that's the dark-eyed junco.
Well, the trail has kind of gotten overgrown, if you can see. So I checked all trails, and it turns out I've been following the wrong trail up from what I thought was Viet Springs Loop, and I'm just on God knows what trail. So I'm heading back down. Not going to be able to do the loop. I'm not seeing too much wildlife. So the light's kind of bad, you know. It's very bland and dark. So we'll head back down and do a little bit of the loop, and we'll see how much time we have left before the sun sets. So yeah.
So I did actually end up making it on to Viet Springs Loop Trail. And as I was going on, it kind of goes down into this little valley. At the bottom of this valley, there were a couple mule deer kind of just hanging out, and they're pretty tolerant of humans, so snapped a couple pictures of them. Edited it, kind of made it look a little more green, took some of the blues and purples out, because deer kind of tend to have this purple shine on them in the camera, around their nose and all kinds of stuff like that. So I removed some of that, and I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, it's the mule deer. So as I continued into the trail, it just kind of got darker and darker. You know, I started around 6 o'clock, and sunset was around 7:40. This was probably around 6:45, maybe closer to 7. And I was in the middle of the forest, so under a lot of tree cover. This robin, I got real lucky though. This robin was right next to me, maybe 2-3 feet away from my camera lens. It was very tolerant of me for some reason, let me get really close. So I got lucky with that and was able to take a good picture of it at ISO 12,800. I think that might be the highest ISO I've ever used. But once again, I mean, the sun was setting. I was in a forest. It was very dark at this point, so there's the American robin. So the last picture I got of the night was of this gray squirrel, I think it is. It was past sunset at this point, but he was real close to me, so I had to try and take a picture at least. So I lowered my shutter speed to 1/160th handheld. Luckily, got the camera still enough so that the image was still kind of sharp, but it was so underexposed that it took a lot of work in post to re-expose it, I guess you could say. But yeah, there's the gray squirrel.
All right, so I made it back to the car. I actually did end up going all the way through Viet Springs. Saw the memorial. I didn't go to the cabin site. Apparently there's a cabin site and a pond or something up there. But it was getting dark, so I kind of hurried back. Didn't see an owl, didn't hear an owl. But I did see what looked like a northern flicker. Just didn't really, he flew off before I got a picture of him. But other than that, and hearing the meadowlark, which I actually recorded it, and it got identified as a hermit thrush. So now I know that. They sound pretty similar. So yeah, well, we'll go home and check out the pictures.